A new Bungie weekly update has just been released, revealing a bunch of new official Destiny 2 information, including an in-depth look at a ton of balancing changes coming to the Sandbox with the near approaching March update. And so, let's get started. What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today has been a pretty big day for video game news in general. In fact, Black Ops 4 and The Division 2 were officially announced today. Done a video on that and the information associated with those reveals. Check that out if you haven't. Really excited for both those games, but we do also have a bunch of Destiny 2 news, and news that I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested in, because this is Sandbox balancing. This is going to be the new meta. This is going to be your favorite subclass or class changed in a pretty big way. So let's just jump right into this. Accidentally sounding like Philly D there aside, Bungie talks about the quote go faster update. This is just an increase to mobility that we're going to talk about in a sec, and just the stuff going on, the action within the Crucible especially, but also it is trickling into PvE. So Bungie says, quote, does this mean you're changing time to kill? Because they say that the community is really going after time to kill and team shotting as things they want to see improved. Well, unfortunately, Bungie said that when we looked at the core feedback on time to kill in the Crucible, we saw it mostly stemmed from a lack of excitement or spikes of intensity that you all came to expect from a Destiny experience. And then they're saying that to address this, we're going to do other things like increase power ammo spawns by a lot, we're going to talk about in a sec, increase mobility, have some gameplay changes within the Crucible, and while that may work, I think this is another example of Bungie, and they very often do this, trying to outsmart the problem, trying to have a problem and fix it via a back route, essentially, not just address the problem. The problem is time to kill. The problem is not necessarily these other things leading to people hate on time to kill, right? So I feel like I'm not entirely positive that these changes we're going to talk about in just a sec are going to address these main issues. I really hope they do, but I really feel like in a couple of months, Bungie will realize that they're wrong and just come around to addressing time to kill anyways. But my opinion aside, what actual changes are they bringing? Well, firstly, they're going to increase the amount of time that you're in the action, because respawn and revive were tuned in all game modes. So player respawn timers for quick play have been reduced, player respawn timers for survival reduced, revive lockout timers on countdown reduced, players no longer lose revive tokens on death. So just definitely you're going to be fighting more often than spending looking at a death screen. Then we have the power ammo changes. These are also quite big, and some of these changes they talked about a little bit earlier. I'm going to go over them a little bit faster. So power ammo respawn timers adjusted across the board. In Iron Banner, they've been reduced by around 50%. In Quick Play, they've been reduced by around 30%. Survival, they've been reduced around 40%, and Countdown have been reduced around 25%. So in all those game modes, you're going to be finding power ammo a lot more often. In addition to that, ammo counts have been adjusted in relation to these timers, and in relation to weapon type. So they say, in almost all cases, weapons either retained the same ammo count or received a buff. Swords and rockets were brought down to stay in line with the rest of the weapon offering. This probably means that rockets only have one rocket when you get power ammo. I'm not sure about that. They had that in the past and no one used rockets. They increased it to 2 and now everyone is using rockets, but 1 is pretty low. But with the next change we're going to talk about in just a sec, it might be okay. Swords, however, I've never really seen swords as a problem. I don't see them getting used that much. I'm not sure they needed any sort of nerf. But the last power ammo change, and potentially the biggest, is that enemy players now drop their power ammo on death. So if you kill the guy with power ammo, you get his power ammo. That's just like Mayhem. And this is going to lead to a huge increase in power ammo, because think of all the times you have died with power ammo. It's probably quite a few. And then think of all the times you've killed someone with power ammo, or when they just got that power ammo. It's probably quite a few. And in all of those scenarios, you lose a power ammo. It just despawns into the ether. But now you still retain it. They're going to drop a brick, or you're going to drop a brick And that is so big. There's going to be a lot more power ammo usage, let me tell you. Now you may be thinking, but what about competitive? And Bungie talks about how team shotting is a really big problem everywhere and in competitive playlists. And if you're a competitive player, make sure you're seated. They're going to remove the tracker in all competitive and trials of the 9 game modes. Let me repeat that. The tracker, your radar, is gone starting March 27th when you're playing competitive or when you're playing trials. This is huge. Like, holy crap. The playstyle, especially for trials, is going to just completely change. The only thing we've had similar to this is way back in Destiny 1, they had what was called spooky trials. For a Halloween event, they changed Cauldron, the map, so that there was spider webs and stuff that spawned and you had no radar, and it was intense. It really makes your focus on communication with your team. You have to be doing those team shoutouts and, you know, saying where you saw people. It's gonna make it so that if you have a solid team, that's much more likely to win than just a couple of people who are really, really good at killing, because you're gonna be able to outsmart them and outflank them and all that stuff. But it comes with a lot of problems. Everyone's going to be flanking non-stop, which can really get annoying at certain times, and I just can't believe they're doing this. It's such a big change, and I don't really know how to comment on it necessarily, because we're just going to have to see how it plays out. And frankly, I like that. This is a bold change, and if it's a positive change, that's awesome. And if it's negative, Bungie can always reintroduce the tracker. It's not like it's gone forever. So, yeah, again, get ready for March 27th. If you're a Trials player, this is the time to try it again, because it's going to be very different. Okay, now moving on from there, we have a bunch of balancing changes. I'm going to go through all of them. Some of these changes were mentioned before, so we'll go through those a little bit faster and spend a little bit more time on the newly revealed stuff today. So let's just get started here. So the go faster part of this update, all 3 glides plus catapult and strafe lift have been retuned and buffed to make them faster and more unique. The mobility stat range has been expanded and completely retuned as well. In short, everyone gets faster and the high end is higher. The player's ground speed cap has been increased, so you're just going to be moving faster regardless. Arc Strider, Sentinel, and Striker all move faster. Arc Strider is going to have faster attack animations, dodge animations, and they increase the range of its attacks, so Arc Strider is getting a pretty big buff. The shoulder charge nerf that just completely cut the mobility out of shoulder charge is being completely reverted. You're now going to be able to essentially dodge with shoulder charge. Thank goodness. Okay, just announced today, Dawnblade is being improved. And all of these changes, guys, are happening on March 27th with that new update. So Dawnblade is going to have reduced cost for throwing swords, allowing for 1 additional throw. So in PvE, that's definitely going to increase your damage output, especially. Increased super duration extension gained from everlasting fire, removed all in-air accuracy penalties while swift strike is active, whoa, reduced the Icarus dash cooldown, and increased the grenade and melee energy heat rises gives you per kill. Dawnblade is definitely a subclass that doesn't see a lot of play right now. With these changes, if they're significant enough, I'm definitely going to be hopping on my Dawnblade, let me tell you that. Next up, we have a little bit of a nerf to the Night Stalker hunters. Invis Night Stalkers are absolutely everywhere on the Crucible right now. I know if you play Invis Night Stalker, well, I don't blame you. Your subclass actually does something, but you're probably not going to be too happy about this, but the rest of us are going to be having kind of a breath of relief, frankly. So, the main nerf here isn't super substantial, but it's invisibility on dodge no longer breaks aim assist or projectile tracking in PvP, unchanged in PvE. So previously and right now in the Crucible, when you go invisible, you'll break everyone's aim assist on you and projectile tracking, which makes you a lot harder to kill and just a lot harder to engage with. Even if you know where that player is, you have no aim assist, it's going to be hard to kill that player. Now it no longer does that. You'll still go invisible, but you'll still have that aim assist on that invisible person, and again, your projectiles will track. Dodging will still break aim assist and projectile tracking, just like it does right now, but just going invisible doesn't do that anymore. So that is really the main nerf. Frankly, it's nothing absolutely massive, but this should make invisible hunters a little bit more easy to deal with. But that nerf is also coming with a little bit of a buff. They're going to increase the duration of invisibility on dodge by 1 second and increase the duration of smoke bomb invisibility by 1 second. So although invisibility itself is nerfed, you'll be able to be invisible for longer. Alright, moving on. Supers recharge faster for everyone. In fact, there's going to be a 25% cooldown reduction across the board. That's pretty significant, and that with Masterworks, which has already made supers so much more common, especially in PvE, that's gonna be huge. Like, you're gonna be using your super so much more often when doing a strike or any activity, frankly. In addition to that, this is a really interesting change. Mods that reduce grenade, melee, and class ability cooldowns have been buffed to allow for up to 2 times faster cooldowns. And there's noted here, this is not replacing Mods 2.0, which has been recently delayed. More information below. And the information below, just to quickly recap, essentially, Mods 2.0 is still coming at a later date after March, but they thought that it's not fair to players to keep delaying everything, so as a temporary measure, the current mods are going to be buffed essentially. So if you have a bunch of grenade mods, you're going to get up to 2 times faster grenade recharge. Same for class abilities, same for melees. So that's a very good change. Definitely we're going to see an increase in abilities everywhere. PvE, PvP abilities are going to be lit. Now moving on from there, we got a bunch of changes to weapons. I know a lot of people want to see a different meta in terms of weapons. The Uriel's gift, please go away, let me use something else. Well, you're in luck. There's a lot of buffs coming. So, pulse rifles. They're going to increase PvE damage for all pulses, increase rate of fire for adaptive and high impact pulses, increase base damage for adaptive, high impact, and rapid fire pulses, increase precision multiplier for lightweight pulses, increase precision multiplier for adaptive pulses. This keeps precision damage close to where it is now, putting most of the buff into body shots, though this is still an increase in precision damage overall. So, pulses are going to be doing more damage, especially in PvE. We're going to see that trend. Basically, every gun type, except for auto rifles, is going to be getting an increase to PvE damage. So, this is going to be huge for PvE-focused players. Speaking of, moving right down to scout rifles. Increase PvE damage for all scout rifles, and increase base damage for high impact scouts. That archetype desperately needs it. The highest impact scouts, you just never see them anywhere. So this is going to be good. Well, hopefully. We don't know the actual numbers. That's a problem. None of the numbers of how much any of these changes were given to us at all during this update. So, you know, these all are going to sound good, but by how much are these buffs actually going to impact the game? We don't know yet. So just keep that in mind. But moving on to hand cannons. Increase PvE damage for all hand cannons, Better Devils, Masterwork Better Devils, here you come, baby. Increase precision multiplier for precision hand cannons. Increase hip fire accuracy on consoles. Increased aim down sights accuracy on consoles. That's really interesting. Hand cannons, that's actually a pretty significant buff. So, sidearms. Increase PvE damage for all sidearms, thank goodness. Increased hipfire accuracy, increased aim down sights accuracy, increased inventory size, awesome, increased minimum range, very good, and added an aim down sights movement bonus. That's definitely going to help sidearms see a little bit more play. Moving down from there, SMGs. Increased PvE damage for all SMGs, thank goodness, set optics to 1.3 times, increased inventory size. This is really good. If you try to use a 900 rounds per minute SMG in PvE especially, you run out of ammo almost instantly, so this was definitely needed. Linear fusion rifles. Increased PvE damage for all linear fusions. This could be very interesting. If it's a significant buff, we could see these being used in stuff like the Callus encounter. Increased precision multiplier. This is also going to help what I just said. Increased aim assist and reduced flinch multiplier. So linear fusion rifles, maybe pick one up. So shotguns. Increased PvE damage for all shotguns. Increased inventory size, that's interesting. And increased aim assist for Suros precision shotguns. Moving on to snipers. Increased PvE damage for all snipers. I'm gonna stop right there. That's really interesting. Snipers, if you landed all headshots, were actually among the highest DPSs you could possibly get for a weapon against, like, Callus. So increasing the PvE damage even more. Raiders, keep that in mind. Next up, we have an increased precision multiplier. Then we have an increase to aim assist and an increase to inventory size. All of these things, like for PvE sniper rifle users, these are huge. Next, grenade launchers, increased blast radius. They might need a little bit more than that, but moving on, assault rifles, or auto rifles. Decreased range and aim assist stats for all precision auto rifles, like Uriel's gift. Base damage is not changed. I think this is a very good change. I really don't like nerfs, especially when you have time to kills that slow, in the game. They don't need to be nerfed any more than they are, but this is just going to get them a little bit more in line. It's going to make it so that at medium range, at ranges you should be dominating with a pulse rifle, auto rifles are not king of the hill anymore. Hopefully, it'll be replaced by other gun types, but they'll still be very, very good. Moving on, a few perks are also getting some updates, so weapon perks that are changing. High impact reserves are getting increased PvE damage, Kill Clip is getting increased PvE damage, Rampage getting increased PvE damage as if it needed it, and increased duration. Holy crap, origin story. Make sure you have that when going into this update. Dragonfly, increased damage, increased radius, and stronger visual effects. Hopefully this will make Dragonfly more similar to Firefly when it's made after the much better version in Destiny 1. Grave Robber is now going to reload half your magazine instead of 30%. The timed payload splits damage 55 explosive, 45 direct impact instead of the previous split, which was more direct impact damage. And lastly, explosive rounds. Decreased PvE explosive rounds damage. This decrease has been compensated for with an increase in PvE damage for the base weapons. Your weapons with explosive rounds do not do less damage after 1.1.4. It's just kind of keeping them in line, essentially. And the last change they mention is that snipers have had kind of a glitch where they're flinching much more than they should. Bungie has finally found what's causing this glitch, and snipers will be, quote-unquote fixed coming in the May update. So, gonna be quite a while, but if you are into sniping, that's when hopefully snipers are gonna be lit again. And guys, that's a lot to go over, but that is it for the main balancing changes. There's some other changes, like they're improving the companion app, but who cares about that? We're talking about buffs and nerfs in this video. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.